Oh, hello everyone. Okay, this is my WB panel van. I've had this for 20 years at least. Over 20 years, 21 years now. Actually, I haven't had the shell. I had a ute. I had a HZ ute, and I'll go back 10 or more years now. I was at a garage sale, and I seen the van sitting up in the back paddock, and so I inquired as the bloke whether he wanted to sell it and what he wanted, and he said, $50. And I tell you, I couldn't get the money out of my pocket quick enough. I didn't even need to look at it for that price. I just, paid him. And of course I got it home, and both front floors were rusted out. There was a huge dent in the left quarter panel, which is okay, didn't mind that. It's easy enough to put, floor panels are easy. You don't even have to even grind them much. You just weld them, paint them, done. So, if I'm going to fix rust anywhere, I'd prefer it to be the floor. Up the chassis was bent because it had no doors, guards, dash, anything of that kind, seats. So I brought it home, and I jacked the ute shell up off the chassis. Just the utes and vans have got a full chassis like the 1-tonners. And I took the ute shell off the chassis, and I put the van shell back onto the HZ chassis. And I've been driving it around ever since. I did attempt to repair this. It was caved in just here. It went from here right back to here. It was a huge dent. And I just got the jack in there, the car jack. I jacked it out, and I panel beat it as best I could. And because it was so stretched, and the more I mucked around with it, the worse it got. Just got a major flop in it, and I ended up going along with the ball peen hammer just above the ridge and putting more dents in it just to pull a stretch out of it. I knew you could shrink it with an oxy set, but I didn't have an oxy at the time, and so I did that, and then I bogged it, and I mucked around with the bog and did this and that, and I could not get the right shape. This is an absolute bastard of a shape to get. It curves in 3 different directions. It's got this wing thing that, like on the front, it's a very, very hard shape to get right. And I was also in a hurry. I had 3 days to get it back together because I was already booked to travel up to New South Wales on a boat from Tasmania. So, I did it as best I could, and it wasn't anywhere near straight enough to paint it. So I just primed it quickly, and it never actually got painted because I just couldn't get it straight. And eventually I took it up to the panel beaters, and he said, well, I can't give you a quote on it until you strip all the bog off the side and everything. And I did that, and I went back up there, and he looked at it, he said, mate, that's stuffed, I can't fix that. That needs a whole new quarter panel. So that's what I've done. And of course, you can't buy a quarter panel for a van. You can buy one for a ute, which is pretty much identical except for the cabin pillar. It has to be cut off and bent over to fit under it. So but it's been off-roaded for about 6 months now. It's actually getting pretty ratty. When I first got the ute, I replaced all the bushes and chockies and springs, the pedal stuff, and it worked extremely well. This panel van's had a hard life since I've had it. I drive it hard. It's a 308. I'll show you in a minute. And I drag firewood out of the forest, and I was regularly doing trips up to New South Wales and loading it to the roof, and with all sorts of things, you know. Like one stage I had 5 motorbikes and a shower screen in the back. Yeah, that's the sort of thing I've been doing, overloading it. Now I had to pull up after putting the shower screen in with the 5 motorbikes. I had to pull up along the highway and built up the underside of the wheel arch because it was scraping the tyres. And yeah, I even come back with the ride-on mast strapped onto the roof one day, or half of it, but I couldn't fit in the back, yeah, along with other things. And yeah, as I said, it's had a hard life, and yeah, the pedal suspension stood up for 20 years. It did extremely well. You can't ask more than that. Yeah, 20 years life out of stuff. It's Australian made. I'll be doing that again, replacing it all. But as I said, yeah, I had to pull it off the road because it was getting pretty ratty, hard to drive. All the bushes are worn out, and yeah, needs a new steering box, and jockeys are gone. And yeah, so I bought a new quarter panel, and I've had a Volkswagen in the shed here for the last 12 months, which, you know, should have gone to the rubbish tip. It was rusted. Worse than anything I've ever tried to fix. Anyway, we've got all that done, and there's no more welding. I've still got to do the doors. It's got to be welded, but there's no more welding to be done on the body, so it's out of here now, and it's time to start on the panel van. I'm going to strip it down now, take everything off, and take the shell back off the chassis now, because I've got to change the quarter panel, and the sill behind the door appears to be spot welded from the inside, and I'm thinking possibly the only way I'm going to be able to do that is to actually cut the inner panel off, which means getting the chassis out of the way. So yeah, that's what I'm about to do. So I'll leave all the engine and gearbox and everything in the chassis. Just wheel it out from under it. Take the whole front end off, doors, everything. Alright, I'll give you a quick look around the car. This will be the first of a whole series of videos, which will eventually be edited and do a start to finish one. But yeah, I don't expect to be finished anytime within 6 months. It's going to take a while. There's a lot of work to do. So, alright, let's give you a look around. So, firstly, these are Row GDS copies, and that's probably the best one on the car. They're getting pretty rusted. I was going to send them back to Row at South Australia to have them re-chromed, but they don't do that anymore. So if anybody knows of anybody that chromes wheels, let me know, because, you know, I can get lookalike mags, but that are in a 15, which I don't have to go to a lower profile tyre, which I don't really want to do. This is rides hard enough as it is. And I like my original steel wheels. I want to keep them. You do have the issue of trying to get tyres for fit them, and there'll probably come a time when I won't be able to get tyres. You can get standard width tyres, but these are a 7. I would actually like to go to a 15, but keep the steel. Go to a 15 by 8, because then I get a better range of tyres. But anyway, that's down the track. Okay, I come around the back. I had the original tailgate, which was rusted out. The top half was rusted out, bottom half was reasonable. It used to draw fumes in between the top and the bottom, and I put new rubbers and tried to adjust it, and I could not stop the fumes coming in. And eventually I decided to tack weld the two together, and I made a fiberglass mould of it, which I've now sold actually. And there's a bloke in Queensland, he's got vans that he takes to shows. He's got the moulds for it. So if anybody wants a one-piece tunnel van, a one-piece tailgate, look for a Queensland bloke that does show vans. And I can't think of his name, or his van's actually got a name for it too. I can't think of that either. But anyway, that's where the moulds are. So yeah, this cost me about 800 all up to make. A lot of fiberglass, because I had to make the actual mould first and reinforce it all. And yeah. And then I didn't want to put the handle back in. I wanted something a bit, slimmer, not sticking out. And yeah, so I've gone with a house door lock, and I tried a cheap one first, which broke after a few days. So I've had to spend $100+ on a proper lockwood lock, and yeah, there's no handle on it, and I'm probably gonna have to put the phone down here because I need two hands. What I do is I put my fingers under the lip here. The bumperettes that go out the back need rechroming, but I'm actually know somebody who's actually found a HZ wagon bumper, and I've been told that the wagon bumpers will fit on the vans. So if I can get that here, I'm going to go full bumper on the back. So anyway, let's see how we go. No, I can't pull it up with the key. Alright, just excuse me for a sec, I'm going to put the phone on the ground. Okay. There we go. There's our one-piece tailgate, and it's got a full metal frame in it. It's got threads. It's got thick pieces of plate on the corners and hinges and where the latch are. It's about 8mm plate. It's got threads in it. So all of that had to be made first. That was the first thing I made. Oh no, the first thing I made was the moulds and the jobs, and then I made the frame to sit it all on, and then there's an inner piece and an outer piece. So yeah, glassed it together with the steel frame inside it, and I also had to cut a little bit out of the floor. I made what was supposed to be a temporary latch, which has been on there for 10 years. So yeah, adjustments. I'll make something better for that. Okay, I've only just moved this in here. I've still got parts of my bike in here. Still got a Volkswagen rear seat in here. Underneath, which I'll show you in detail at a later stage, this is a bench seat. I acquired a bench seat, and because I got two boys and wanted to be able to carry 3 people in it, we put a full bench seat in it. I had to change the gear shift. Shall I show you? This has got a Toyota Supra 5-speed in it, and yeah, I've had to put a bend in the gear shift, because that's to get around the console, and so that the person in the middle is not kicking the gear stick all the time. Gets it out of the way a bit. And yeah, getting back to the seat, I've now adapted the tops of the two buckets into the bench. So I've now got a reclining bench that splits in the middle, and I've had an issue carrying things with the length where it meets the seat, and that crack in the windscreen, that's from a piece of steel that I fed into the back, across the top of the seat, and I only just very lightly bumped the windscreen and it cracked the thing right down. So yeah, by being able to fold the left hand side of the seat down, I'll now be able to carry, you know, a length that can go from under the dash, or I won't actually go under this, but from the glove box to the tailgate. So it gives me a lot more room. That's the bottom half of the dash over there. Oh, it's actually the plug. That's the old one, which has been modified and puttied. I've got to take a mould off that yet. I made a copy for the top of the dash. An original GDS one was cracking up, and so was the actual dash top. So I've put a you can't really see, we haven't got light here. It's not, come down, there we go. Get the phone down in the dark, we'll be able to see. So what I've done is I've fitted the GDS instrument clusters into a WB Statesman dash, and that was an absolute pain in the bum. It was so difficult. So just totally different. I had to actually make a frame to hold all the instrument clusters and try and fit it into a, you know, the WB, the whole dash has just got a plastic frame. There's no steel in there, so it's very, very difficult. And yeah, since I've had to remake it, I've left a space there to put a double size CD player so I can have a screen with a fit a reverse camera. I've backed into things and it doesn't several times, so I put a reversing camera in that. Other thing I didn't mention, on the tailgate, I'll close it down and show you when I remade it, because the top half of the tailgate was stuffed anyway, it was rusted out. I cut the window out and dropped it down about 4 inches, which lines it up with the side windows and means you can actually see something out of your revision mirror, or you can see the car behind. You couldn't before. It was a really stupid idea, you know. Up here, this is where the window used to come to. Yeah, which means it's, this side at the bottom was a really stupid design. Yeah, so and I've acquired some Statesman front doors with the power windows and the full chrome work, which will be going onto it. I'm currently looking for a pair of guards. These have been dented up and repaired, and because they're an unboltable thing, I don't want a repaired panel. I'll look for something that's straight, and then I will cut out these inserts and refit them into the guard I can get. So yeah, I know if anybody here in Tasmania has got a set of guards I want to sell, I'd be interested. I'm not concerned about rust down the bottom, because I've got to cut this panel out. I can just, need be, I'll cut the whole bottom of the guard off, because these don't have any rust in the bottom of them. So yeah, I'm just looking for a straight top that's never been repaired. So yeah, if you got a pair, let me know. This is the front of it. At least I've got a straight bonnet. I've got some panels made for the grille. I'm making like a caprice type grill, but in full length. Yeah, I've got all the pieces made. I've just got to find somebody with better welding skills than me to do a very nice, neat, or with a better welder too. We're not going to MIG. This is a TIG job. So, but yeah, I'll be looking for somebody who can put it all together for me and weld it neatly. These bumperettes, there's 2 full bumpers here, and yeah, because I didn't want just a chopped end, and also, yeah, because these had the rubber overriders, which I'm putting back on. So I wanted the end that fits the override. I wanted to look neat. So this here is the other end. This is this piece. So you can see it. This piece here was cut off and welded onto the other side. So, well, the other side of the bumper, the other end was welded off, cut off and welded back onto it. So yeah, each of them bumperettes is a full bumper chopped off. So yeah, that's 2 bumpers, and this is the original bumper, which was all rusted out. And this strip here, I cut the strip out of my original bumper, welded it back together, turned it upside down, mounted it back onto the, bracketed it up and mounted it back to its original mounting position. So, and it's just, well, if that had been plastic or fiberglass, I'd have smashed it a dozen times over by now. So, and it's still got the original strength of a full bumper. So, yeah, if you're looking for a way to make a scoop for the front of it, and the good thing about using a bumper is it's got the shape. It comes out round the grill already. It worked really well. Yeah. I have some good ideas, and I have some ideas that are not so good. And, yeah, that's one of my better ideas that work really well. So, yeah, got the Statesman mirrors. The cables are a hassle. I like the look of them, but I've smashed my wife smashed a mirror, well, the outer cover of the mirror on her Mazda 3 that she had. So I replaced it, and then I pulled it apart and had a look at the actual winder motor and the mechanism, and it's very tiny, and it will actually fit inside that. So that's the plan, is to put electric motors inside these ones. So I've got electric mirrors as well. So we'll pop them on and this is another thing. This is my 308, and yeah, as you can see, it's got a fair bit of manifold oil leak. Yeah. Extractors all rusted out the shit, and I had to change them. But I'll put the states from an air conditioner in, which is yet to be hooked up. I still got to get a compressor for it and all that sort of thing. But yeah, it wouldn't fit on the extractors, so I've had to actually cut a piece out down here. You can see the weld. I never actually ground it off. But yeah, that piece used to come out around here, so I've had to chop it and change it to make it fit. And I'll be getting a new set of extractors. I'm going to go for the ceramic chrome look ones. I've changed the whole system actually in this because I also lowered it. I got 2-inch lowering blocks on the back and lowering springs on the front. That made a big difference to its handling actually. Incredible difference. You'd be surprised how much difference 2 inches lower can do to a van like this in its handling. But yeah, so I'm gonna, because I've been going fire trails and it's been scraping out, and I've busted and broken the exhaust and so many times. Yeah, I've got to replace the whole system now, front to rear. And the engine will be coming out after 20 years of hard use. And I cooked it once. I went to Sydney with a crook radiator. It was my own fault. It actually overheated 3 weeks before that, and I'd forgotten about it. And I cooked it on the way to Sydney. I've since got a heavy-duty radiator, and I changed the head gaskets. And but I didn't replace the bolts, and I've got a couple of stretched head bolts. And yeah, I got back, and it was still. It would overheat with the thermostat in, but with it out, it was fine. But then it wouldn't get warm enough to run the heater. And without a heater, you don't have a demister either. So, but yeah, all that was caused because I didn't replace the head bolts. But yeah, I'll put a bit of that, seal up stuff in it, the copper seal up stuff, and it's, that was, good 5 years ago. Hasn't had an issue since it worked. But anyway, yeah. As I said, after 20 years, it doesn't blow smoke, use oil, leaks a lot of oil. But of course, it hasn't got the power that it used to have. Obviously, we got worn cam lobes, and probably the second stage in that carby's not working again either. I had that rebuilt when I first got it, because it wasn't working when I first got it. That's probably part of the problem. But yeah, it's a bit down on power, but as I said, yeah, it still doesn't blow smoke or burn oil or anything. So, but it will get a rebuild. There's a difference between a rebuild and a recondition. Reconditions, you get out, you replace everything. You grind the crank and rebore, new pistons, rings, new cam, new everything. But yeah, this won't need that. It'll get a quick hone, it'll get a ring change. It'll get new bearings. I'll put a new cam, new lifters. New gaskets. That's about it. So, that's about all we'll need. Bit of paint. Actually, I've got some chrome rocker covers in there and a chrome sump I'll put on it. And on the subject of rebuilds, I used to work in a garage, an engine reco shop, and because the bloke there wasn't the most honest bloke I've ever worked for, but he used to do what he'd call a spray can rebuild, where he'd get a motor from the wreckers and clean it, put a coat of paint on it, make it look like it had something done to it. Yeah. The other thing we've got rust coming up in here, and it actually does leak a little bit of water down into the floor. Whenever you get rust like that, you'll find in these that there's a bigger hole underneath, so it's pointless just patching this up. And it's probably just the windscreen's busted, because that's got to come out. But yeah, I'll be chopping out at least as much of the panel, fixing the hole underneath. I've yet to decide whether I'll buy a replacement panel or fix this panel and put it back in again. So make that decision later. But, yeah. Anyway. So that's where we're up to. This is my trusty van. I love this thing. And as I used to do several trips up to northern New South Wales and out west. Went out to Dubbo a few times, and this thing just loves cruising up the hume. It'll just sit in 110, no problem, all day, up and down hills. Barely ticking over. It just loves it. And actually, there's a story to that. It didn't at first. When it was ute, you'd put your foot down, you get out on the highway and do 110, you can watch the fuel gauge go down. It'd do okay at 90, but if you tried to do 110, you'd just chew the fuel up. So I went and got a HQ Statesman diff to put in it, and yeah, for the ratio, but yeah, it's a different diff to the van diff and van and ute diff, so I actually had to change the mounts because the sedans are a spring rear, a coil spring, where these are a leaf spring. But yeah, so I changed the diff to a higher ratio, and that made a major difference to fuel consumption and cruisability. So yeah, so despite its looks, it's actually had a considerable amount actually done to it, and I've had so many people ask me if I wanted to sell it, but including my eldest boy, and he said, you know, if you ever go to sell it, I want first option. And I said to him, well, when I'm too old to drive it, I'll just give it to you. How's that? So yeah. So don't bother making me offers to sell it. It's not for sale. I love this thing, and I'll keep it until I can't drive it anymore. So. Anyway, as I mentioned before, this is the first of a series of videos. So yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.